Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Free State Podcast. I am your host, Brian Konkoski, with a very special co-host, Jacob from Rise of Liberty. Jacob, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing quite well. How are you?
I'm great. So this is usually a Maryland-based or oriented podcast, and the co-host is from Utah, right? Utah.
Correct.
And our guest is from Colorado. So this is not Maryland-based at all tonight, but it will be based. I can promise you that. It will be a very based episode. So our special guest tonight is Jessica Fenske. Most of us know her as on Twitter as Forest Mommy. And she is running for local office, which sure it's not Maryland, but I definitely focus on local offices. So here we go. Jessica Fenske is running for Arvada City Council District 4 in Colorado. This is her blurb from her website. She said, "Welcome to Arvada District 4. Thank you for showing interest in my campaign. I have been in Colorado for 33 years and living in District 4 of Arvada since 2010. Over the last 3 years, it has become apparent to me that the people in control of our government do not have the citizens' best interests at heart. I am not a professional politician, just a politically active, concerned member of our community. I want to make sure that the government is kept in check and our freedom is represented. I hope to blaze a new path in local government, overcoming the obstacles that I might face on this journey. Thank you so much for any donations given, and I hope you can respect you in the fullest. Follow Forest Mommy on Twitter and Forest Mommy Co. on Instagram for events to come out and meet me." So with that being said, let's bring up Forest Mommy.
It's so
Jessica,
cheesy.
Forest
It's so
Mommy.
cheesy.
You got to be cheesy. Look, I ran for office too. You have got to be cheesy.
It's true.
You gotta appeal to the boomers and the dorks. You gotta be and us normal people, we can recognize, okay, there's a cheesiness because they're a politician, right? They're running for office, so we know they're not that cheesy in real life. We just know it, so it's okay. The cheesy is good.
Okay, good.
If my website was still up, I would read you my website, and I can guarantee it's equally, or if not more, cheesy than yours.
I mean, everything has been cringe. Everything I do is cringe, so I guess it's not like
cringe is good. Cringe is good when it comes to politics. It really is. If the more cringy you can be to us, then you're probably appealing to a broader spectrum of the audience and the voter base. So, you definitely have to throttle yourself a lot in your beliefs and kind of what you say, and kind of your personality when you're running for office. Because if you're just like, it sucks to say it, and it's kind of against like libertarian ideals, but if you just run completely as yourself, then you're going to piss people off and you may not win, and the goal is to win, right? So I get it, absolutely.
Yes, thank you for the intro. Thank you for inviting me on.
No problem. Thanks for coming on.
Yes.
Last time I ran, I kind of just ran to piss people off and say base things, and
I don't blame you. Yep.
I made the newspaper and was able to be quoted as saying that we should end government involvement in schooling, period, right in the newspaper. So I got it and framed it.
That's like the most important part, I find too, is that we have this platform. I can't even believe I have this platform with Twitter and stuff. So it's like, oh, I'm going to proselytize liberty, man. Like, they're not gonna, and that's already, everything went kind of crazy already with papers and stuff too. But it's like, I'm going to say it. Like,
well, let's start off with that. What was that feud? It seemed like a feud between you and a local journalist that was going on. Can you talk about that?
Yes, it's so silly because it's just all it was really was this local news station, 9 News. The guys would post on FSDs, hold on. Excuse me. They were posting with all the COVID stuff. Twitter's great because you can sorry, I'm out of focus. You can tell these guys off, when they posted wrong information, and be like, no, that's wrong, right? Like, you suck. So I don't know if that's where it exactly started, but so in January, another one of my friends the same guy threatened to dox one of my friends. So this guy's like a serial, he does this, right? So I did a story about it where I gave out my name, my friend gave out his name, and we talked about how this guy's like this ethical journalist on like a state, an NBC affiliate station, was like threatening to dox my friend, and like he pulled up an old picture, an old mugshot from when my friend was like 18 with weed or something, you know, and was like, I'm gonna post this. Just like it was crazy. So then fast forward, which I had this guy blocked, and like he had me blocked. Sorry, the sun just came out. It's super bright. So I ran, or I went and filed my affidavit. And of course, because I'm Mises Caucus and our whole thing is local government, and I didn't want to do this. It's our campaigns director out here has kind of talked me into it. Like, you might as well run. Because I even just wanted to get on the ballot, because the more of us they have on the ballots, the better, but for any position, right? So that's what I thought. I was like, well, I won't run a huge campaign, but I'll get on the ballot. So yeah, then 12 hours later, this guy, he must have saw me post about it, and then like was just waiting for it to be posted on the city website, my affidavit. And then he just made this post the next day, like trying to make me look bad. And he posted my actual affidavit with nothing redacted on it. So technically doxing, even though it's public information. But yeah, that was weird. I wasn't expecting that in my first 12 hours. So
I have kind of, it wasn't a journalist. It was actually the person I was running against. I have a criminal record. I'm very open about it. It was marijuana related charges. And I actually, the guy that I was running against, who's been in office for 16 years in the same seat, he wanted to, you know, link up and, you know, go to lunch or something. So, you know, first off, the weird thing was that he went to a location that had no alcohol. To me, that's weird. Like, you want to go to a diner that doesn't serve alcohol, like you're a dork, right? Like, let's at least have a beer over this shit. So I'm eating my my food, and he's eating his salad with no alcohol. Lame. And he threatened to bring up my criminal past, and I was like, dude, sure, please go ahead. We'll see what people.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Like, let's talk about how I got arrested for marijuana when, you know, us as libertarians, it's a close and shut case when we talk about marijuana laws. And I was like, you can go ahead and talk about it. I don't care. The fact that I have 16 years of your voting history in public office, that's all I need to know. And we'll decide. I literally told him, let people decide what people think is worse. So it's funny when you start to kind of shake the base of your local political sphere, then they come charging hard, quick. Just somebody questioning something different. So with questioning things different, why do you think that you were so immediately targeted by this journalist?
honestly, I think that journalist is a psychopath, but like, I don't know if, because we were calling them out to the base level too, that they work for this parent company that's owned by Pfizer, basically, right? So these guys are we've been calling all this kind of stuff out. So who knows if it was just him being like a catty man and doing this or what, but he really thought he did something. Like, he really was like, she hates government and wants to be in government. People were like, sweet, that sounds so cool. So like, that's just how like insulated they are too, that they hate people on Twitter that much for calling them out when they say wrong stuff, to the point where they want to put my address on the internet. Like, I can't imagine being that mad. So who knows if it was, I don't know. But then after that happened, there was one was actually a paper where they interviewed me, but she made me look stupid, but I looked cool too. And the guy I'm running against was like, she sounds disruptive. And I'm like, that makes me like happy. That makes me like want to keep doing it. You know, I'm disruptive already. All I did was sign up, but but it's true. That does, like, the guy you said who'd been in forever, the guy I'm against, he's been in for 12 years already. He's moving to a district seat. He used to be at large, and he's termed out at large. And so now he's trying, you know, so these, like, I definitely put a little, they were not expecting me to come along and do this. So that has been kind of cool. That stuff would have been cool.
That's what I found was the cool part, was that I came out of just absolutely nowhere. You know, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a local business person. I just came out of nowhere, put my name on the ballot, and here I am. I had people talking about me quickly. So my race was, I'm not trying to make this about me, but it's fun to relate and talk to another,
I get
libertarian running for local office. When I decided to run, it was like 2 days after that, the Democrat dropped out. I don't know why. I don't think it had anything to do with me. So I was a two-way race against me and a Republican in a pretty red district. And I don't know if you ever heard of Dan Cox. He ran for governor in Maryland this past year, and he was Trump's guy, right? Well, the majority of the people that were like verbally and talking to me, telling me they were supporting me, were Dan Cox people, right? And so I had this weird mix of support where it was, the Democrats that were going to vote for me just as a vote against the Republican. And then I had these hardcore MAGA Republicans that were voting for me just because they wanted to vote against the establishment Republican Party. So it's so cool, like being in that mix. Like, yeah, I don't agree with either of you for the most part, but the fact that you're both supporting me is really cool. And that's really cool about local politics is that, it's not what you see on the national media, what you see on Twitter day to day. Like, you never know what people are going to vote. And like, how has that been for you? Like, what's your support? Is it like, of course, we got to kind of lean it towards either Democrat or Republican or certain subsections of that. So like, what have you experienced thus far of like where the majority of your support is coming from?
I just want to apologize for how bright it is. It sounds like it's going to go behind a hill in like any second. So funny enough, right before I planned to run, starting in January, I started going to more events and stuff. And I'd been making friends with some GOP people in my area who are like, they're sick of the GOP. The GOP's a mess out here. They're like, we're a mess. I'm like, have you seen the Libertarian Party too? Like, we all get it, right? So there was people who had been following me on Twitter, even like there's this girl, I consider her my friend now. I was like, well, you want to follow me on Twitter? I'm a little crazy. And she was like, girl, I've been following you for a while, So yeah, there's actually a lot of GOP support for me. They're not running anybody. It's a nonpartisan race, right?
Okay.
Which was funny because when on the affidavit, I just put Libertarian. I wasn't even thinking. I was like, Libertarian Party of Colorado. Like, if it's nonpartisan, then that doesn't matter anyways, right? Well, they made it matter in the paper. They were like, these libertarians signed up. And because there's another libertarian running in another district as well, Merle Hendrickson. So it's kind of like, they made such a big deal. But anyway, so yeah, it's been the GOP support. There's people who've been involved in the city council politics for the last 20 years I've made friends with. And the guy I'm running against had been, they had attempted to recall him before. So I have the actual signatures from that recall against him and stuff, just because people want to help me. So they've been like meeting with me and like giving me all the like dirty politics stuff. And I was like, oh, this is great. So, definitely from the right side, I'm getting a lot of support. I don't think they're going to run anyone because it would kind of split the vote. It would be like the opposite problem with the since I signed up first. So who knows? It seems like a lot of support from the right. I haven't talked much to the left yet since I haven't done door knocking, but I think that'll be when I figure, get more of those opinions, especially in like a tract home neighborhood with the white bitches at home and stuff.
Like, look, I'm a white bitch too. Just vote for me, right?
Let's look eye here. So yeah, but no, the random support from all the different groups, and we have like We Are Change out here is pretty. Like, I feel like they're supporting. They're not like in my district or anything, but they've been super supportive and friendly towards me. Like all these different groups, health freedom groups, all these like the. I think he's Green Party or something, but he like loves me and emails me all the. We fought against the bill together, so like we're buds now,
Well, that's what it's about, right? Mises, we're all Mises people here. Single issue coalitions are a big deal with the Mises people, and I take single issue coalitions super huge because you can build coalitions like that, and you can have a friend for life. Sure, you recognize you don't agree on everything, but here's somebody that knows some people that is, encouraging your campaign. So that's big. It's definitely big.
Yeah. Because I don't know what I'm doing. And because you guys experienced this too when you ran your campaign. We don't have Act Blue or whatever the right side. I think there's called Win Red or something. Like, We don't have that. We have a merry gang of friends where there's a couple people who half of them are on the board for the state parties and are like busy as hell anyways, you know, but they still want to do this and help out. So like that makes me feel better about doing it, just knowing it's so organic and like it's so. I was worried about campaigning, so that was like I was so thankful that dude did that to me, because I was like, I hate asking for money. And he helped me like fundraise for if I wanted to, I bet I could run off of what I have right now. You know, so it's like, thank you, dude, because I was so worried about that.
That's the worst part is, you know, asking for money. That sucked. That absolutely. So the way I convinced people was I did a raffle for a 3D printer. So that, and people went all over it. Yeah. And
there's at least something they could get out of that.
Yeah, there is something, and you have so many. You have to play by the rules according. You know, every state's different, but we were able to do a raffle, and you know, that's pretty much how I raised the majority of my money, was from one 3D printer raffle, because you start to realize how little money you need to do what you want to do, right? It's different if you like want to do commercials, radio commercials, TV commercials, like that's a different, you know, kind of train of thought. But you want to get the street signs or the yard signs that you want to get the you know, the reading material, right? You want to get that out. It doesn't cost that much money, and the more you buy, the cheaper it is, or the amount, you know.
I just felt like a bum every time I asked for money. Like, hi, my name is Jacob. Can I have some change?
I'm a real estate broker, and I don't even ask. I'm not even a pushy real estate broker. Like like people are like, well, we have a friend. I'm like, good, use them. Don't use me. I don't want to like work. You know, like so I was like, luckily, like I said, it all worked out. Cause I'm the same way. You feel, especially for this, because there's like, the value is hard to prove because you don't know if you're going to win or not. You can have a good chance. But the support from Twitter, just most of my fundraisers were from the nation. It wasn't even from like, you know, but it was so sweet, that support, again, because there's a lot of different people on Twitter that support me. And that's been like eye-opening too. Kind of makes you like, yeah, I am supposed to do this, even though I don't want to, but we're going to do it.
That's how I felt a lot. Most of the people that bought a raffle ticket or a raffle slot for the 3D printer were not in Maryland. You know, we as libertarians, we have to support each other any way that we can. And when somebody runs for office, somebody that you agree with or that you like, or maybe you've met in some convention, or you just like what they say on Twitter or something like that, we got to support each other. I mean, that's what we got to do. I've never met Jacob, and I asked him to come on this podcast, my podcast with me, because I know I trust him, and you know, we follow. Like, you get a feel for how somebody is, whether talking to them a couple of times or watching them on podcasts or interacting with them online. And when you're a libertarian, you have that extra layer of comfort with these people because you know that they agree with you politically.
It's like every time somebody comes into Liberty Twitter, it's like everyone feels it. That's like an outsider.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to name names, but you know, there's several examples. It's like we're all fighting with each other, and then all of a sudden some outsider comes in, and we all like turn and, you know, start fighting with them.
It's such a funny culture on there, isn't it? I love it.
It is. It's so weird.
It's been that's what got. I mean, once COVID happened, and I got into Twitter and found the community, and then that's why I'm here now. And luckily, I found a ton of people in Colorado, and then got involved with LP and MC. So it's like the best people. Like, I hate that COVID happened, and I'm still so pissed about it. But the silver lining was all this, which I'm so grateful for.
Yeah, that's how I was too. I was libertarian for years before COVID, but COVID made me get active and actually start going to meetings and things like that. So, like, yeah, I agree with you. COVID fucking sucked, but it brought so many people into the Liberty fold.
People too, like people. Yeah. I don't know how old you are, but there's like, I feel like it's a younger, like the whole board. I don't know if Utah. I know Maryland, some of your guys too, but like the whole board is young, and I've volunteered on boards before where they're like begging young people to get involved, or like not even just around 40-year-olds to get involved, because it's all old people, right? And then I'm like, oh, the whole LP Colorado board is like everybody's in their 30s, for Christ's sake. So it's like,
that's how our board is. You know, its average age is probably 34 years old for our board.
Yeah, I think we're everybody over here. Like we have all ages, so it works.
Yeah.
The old guard in our state, they were very gatekeepy kind of, and you were involved as much as you force yourself to be involved. Whereas the way we're operating now, because I'm on the executive board myself, is that everything is run by subcommittees of central committee members of the state. Like if this is your thing, join this subcommittee. You know, if you want to be involved in comms or messaging, candidate referrals and candidate help, like everything is just subcommittees, and it's not run by a centralized group of people. It's just like anybody who wants to be involved, who is pay their dues, registered libertarian and stuff like that. And I feel like that's the way going forward, as the old trickle themselves out and the new come in. We are, as Mises people, we're very decentralized revolution, right? So we should decentralize our state parties and our county parties and stuff like that. So that's what we're doing. So Jessica, when is your election? Like when?
November 7th.
November 7th.
Oh, and I'll officially I have to get signatures in like 3 weeks in August. I have to get like 25 signatures. So I should be able to get that just from registered LP people in my district and stuff. But I'll be doing a bunch of door knocking by then anyways. So that's my next have to do hurdle.
So are you, I don't know. See, this is what sucks, is that every state has different rules and laws and stuff like that pertaining to ballot access.
Every city in each state has different rules.
Mm-hmm.
So the way it works in Maryland is, as long as your highest billed candidate gets at least 1%, then you get access across the board. So we had a governor this year; he got over 1%. So we're good for the next 4 years. So what do you have to do? So are you actually on the ballot now, or do you have to petition to get
that's the one thing I have to do still in August, is get the 25 signatures. Then I'll officially be on the ballot. So
why do you have to wait till August?
That's just their rules. They're like, it's from August 1st to August 15th or something. Like it's like an arbitrary date too. So
jump through these hoops.
Yeah. But
jump through this tiny hoop that's on fire.
Yeah. And then you can be part of the club. Ooh.
And then democracy can reign, right?
Yeah.
That is democracy.
Yes. It's a bunch of frat games.
It's all hoity-toity. Like you said, I've gone to some of the chamber events now too, and I know the chamber is good for business people, free market capitalists, blah blah. But I'm like, the most people don't go to these snobby events. They're not there. My average constituent isn't there to hobnob and know who's who and all this stuff. So that's something I want to I know I'll have to do some of that stuff, but I'm totally going to call it out too. I'm going to be like, no, I'm with the people. I'm going to call it out.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we need. We need politicians. We need people like us to get in the office and be like, let's make this a little bit more normal. Like, we're not robots. We're not a bunch of dorky lawyer nerds. Like, we're actually people that live in this community and want to change things. So let's just be normal people. We don't have to be this, cringy old school kind of way of doing things. And you can do it with just your language. Sure, you can have the same procedures, but you can just not be so square about what you're actually saying.
Yeah.
Over here, it's a bunch of real estate agents, and that's everybody.
So
I'm not a super successful real estate. It's always just I have my license. That's what I tell people. I have my license. Not one of those real estate people. So.
It's not my personality.
Right. And you meet those people who are like, hey, if you ever want a house, you know, let me
Yeah,
know."
do you need a house?
Like, dude, I'm
Don't
just trying to
push you.
talk to you about normal things. I don't want to fucking buy a house. I'm good. I'm not trying to sell my house. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's all good. Calm down. It's all good.
Real estate agents are the DJs of your 30s, so makes sense.
I would say I'm a poor man's trophy wife with a real estate license. It's very cliche, it's super cliche, and I'm fine with it.
What are your big bullet points that you're running on?
Well, so one thing is like a very specific. Can I say like a specific issue I want to work on, or do you want just bullet points?
No, yeah, be very as specific as possible. I want localities are my focus, so I want to hear what the problems are in your town.
So the biggest thing right now that like a lot of people are still kind of up in arms about is 3 years ago, the guy I'm running against now and another person who is on the board, they decided, so it's a big sprawling suburb on the west side of Denver up against the mountains. Like it's a huge, hilly, it's like huge. So they decided, well, we're going to make it so so everybody has to use one trash service through the city. So it'll be one, which I know some smaller cities do that and that makes sense, whatever. But we don't do that here. We have our choice of garbage people here. So they voted it through. And at the point of time, the guy I'm running against in an article, he said something like, man, we've just listened to so much testimony and it is so difficult. And this is why we can't take it to a vote. He said he doesn't think people should vote on it, which I'm like, you can't be saying that. You can't be everything needs to come to a vote. What about democracy, right? I thought we were all about democracy. So that's when they attempted to recall him and it didn't go through, but they did finally say, okay, you can opt out of the service. But now everybody pays basically a fee. If you opt out, you're still paying like $8 now. It's just like a trash tax for a trash service you don't even use. And luckily, the other companies have been good and have like given prices like $8 less. They've been really good about it. But it's like there's we need to get rid of that. Like there's no reason that should still be around. So like I'd love to go after that. And once I get in, and I'm gonna I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm gonna be like, everyone needs to explain everything to me very slowly. Like explain how all of this works so I can tell the people how it works. Because that's what I want to do is nobody pays attention to local. I don't know. I'm guilty of that before too. So it's
that's so disruptive.
I know. I want people to see what's going on a little
How
bit
dare
easier.
you?
Crazy. So I would love to see if there's any other little fees like that have been tacked on. There's been bonds that have passed by votes and whatnot before, but that you never know what other like little things they've tacked on. So I'd like to find that. We have don't really have a homeless problem yet in our area or anything to go after. We do have a proposed planned out tollway going to be built supposedly, but it's like won't have an on or off ramp into the city, but people are going to be paying taxes for it. So that'll be an issue. Hey, Daniel. So that'll be something. I always want to make sure like our city actually did good. City of Arvada did good during COVID. They protected the businesses a little bit from the public health department, but I would love to like somehow build more barriers to where the public health department does not have the final say over like the businesses in the city. And that's kind of the biggest stuff, but I definitely just to have someone different on there because it's very different. And I don't want to be a career politician either. Like this is like I am messing up the other guy's plan because I'm sure he wanted to do term out in this and then he'd run for mayor because the mayor that's stepping down this year has been there like 35 years or something, so
Holy crap.
Yeah, it's like dorky and boring. We don't need that. We need like normal. Maybe I could help change the culture to where it's almost like a jury duty or something where just it's someone different each time, who's a normal person who doesn't want to be in politics.
Right. Well, that's what when I was running, I'm just a normal guy, right? I'm 31 years old. I have a wife, a kid. I own my home. I've lived here, majority of my life, and people are like, oh, you're running for office. I'm like, yeah, I'm running for office. Like you should run for office. Even if I don't agree with you, you should run for office too. Like it's just more normal people should just run for office. And I think that even if it's something that we don't politically aligned with all the way, it's better than these, like I was saying, the lawyers and all these big, monopolistic business owners that are in your area that own some, construction company that built all the houses in your area, right? Like it's those kind of people that, like, yeah, sure, we are free market capitalists, but at the same time, if nobody's actually trying to question or work against those people, then is it really a free market or is it a monopoly and things are just, folding over? So it's like, be that normal person with a normal life that still has to go to work 9 to 5 and run a campaign at the same time and show more people that you can actually do it. Like, you can do it. Like, sure, you're not going to be able to hang out by the pool and you're not going to be able to spend as much time with your kid or whatever, but you can run for office. It's only for a few months. It's a short-term kind of thing. And if you win, then you're really starting to make changes. But, even without winning, you can still make changes. You don't know how pissed off, like the guy that I was running against, he was the Senate minority chairman for the Senate. He got dethroned after this campaign because, if I had to believe, I want to believe that he did so poorly against a third party candidate with no Democrat that they were upset with how he performed. I mean, I got over 27% of the vote. Sure, doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're in a deep red district with a 16-year incumbent and a third party candidate who just comes out of nowhere gets, pushing 30% of the vote, like, that's pretty bad. You're not doing well, because that means that people didn't vote. Democrats voted for me in, kind of a protest vote. And then people legitimately voted for me because they liked what I was saying and didn't like him being the establishment Republican. So like, local politics is crazy. You never know what's going to happen. We just had a Mises guy in a small town in Maryland who just became mayor. He was county council and now he's mayor. He's 32, 33 years old. I just had him on the other week ago. And he's the mayor now. He's the mayor of a fucking town. Like, you don't know what you can do if you just at least run for office. You say a lot of people like you, then run for office, because you might win if you got enough friends.
We won a little mayor out here too. He's still mayor, Aaron Lamb, and he's Mises Caucus as well. He was kind of the spark too, where it was like he won, and then we were all like, okay. Because what happened in Colorado was the left came in and slowly took over local politics like crazy. There's like, you can like see it happen. No one was paying attention. I'm guilty too. So like, now it's like, all right, let's do it. And you know what? It's going to take time. It may not work, whatever, but like, you have to try. I think if you don't win, whatever, you got the message out. If you do win, you get to do things. If it seems like it was corrupt, maybe you could expose some corruption in the voting or whatever, because it's such a small thing to control, So I don't know. I just don't see it. Yeah, like, if you can do it. And I pretty much think all the crazy stuff that happened to me probably won't happen to most people. No. I think they'll be better off. Like, I'll be the sacrifice. I think it'll be fine if other people run. But it is fun to like do it. And like, now I'm like, okay, next time. I didn't think I'd run a big campaign, so I didn't do a P.O. box. Well, guess what? I would definitely tell people, get a P.O. box.
Yes, I can attest to that. Get a P.O. box.
There are crazy people out there who will post your address for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
So learn it as we go.
There's just so many strange people. I met a lot of strange people running, and it was... Yeah, I've got to back up that P.O. box idea, because wow, I don't want these people having just general access to all of my information.
Yeah.
So like, they can find out anyway, so might as well not make it easier.
Don't make it easy, because if you go, you can search my name on Google now, and like the third page down, they don't get rid of that information. That doesn't come off the state website, at least in Maryland. So it's like three things down. There's my address. That's my house. That's where I live. That's where my kid lives. Yeah, definitely. I advocate for the PO box 100%.
So if anyone's
Absolutely.
listening, if you're just going to be signing up anytime soon, get a PO box to put down on your however you fill out.
Yeah, definitely. That my dad, he was my bigger supporter, of course. Good dad. And he was like, what if like journalists start coming up to your house and stuff? I'm like, I guess I'm fucked. I just gotta deal with it, I guess.
Yeah, now I'm like, I wish one of them would. I wish the guy would come to my house. Like, I want to talk to him so bad.
So that's been pretty quiet. Has he said anything to you recently at all, or has he kind of calmed down?
I'm sure they told him like, stay off of Twitter, you dum dum. I'm sure if because I went off right away. I'm sure if I cut my mouth shut, maybe I could have had a case against him for something. But with his journalistic ethics, who knows? But I'm sure they're like, bro, what were you thinking?
If nothing else, he gave you more promotion than anything. I think he did more positive for your campaign.
I couldn't have paid for that. I couldn't have. I got 10,000 followers on Twitter just from that alone. I couldn't pay for the direct targeting advertisement he did for me.
That's great. See, that's what we need. We need more idiot journalists to cover us.
Yeah, now I'm fine with it. I'm like, come on, now that I've been through like 3 attacks now, I'm like, bring it. What's next? You gonna find some sexy pictures of me? Oh, I'm hot. Okay, like, let's talk about policy.
Is this who you want in your office?
Right. Well, that's like that one school that the mom was doing OnlyFans and they kicked the kid out of the school because the mom was doing OnlyFans. Yeah. It's like, come on, man. Like, what are you doing? Like, this has nothing to do with
teased enough.
So Jessica, is there anything that you want us to know about your campaign, right? Because I already asked you about, your issues and kind of how you ran for office or what made you want to run for office. But like, is there anything that you want anybody, and this not even locally, obviously, but anybody that you want to take from your campaign? Like, you have like a bigger, broader, like thought process or message behind your campaign?
Well, definitely spreading the seeds of liberty, like, because since I'm planning on going door to door and actually talk, and I'm not trying to sell me. I'm going to ask people what their issues are. Like, my issues page is pretty basic because I'm like, I want to find out what their issues are. So maybe just the like further goal of, I don't know, just planting the seeds to people that the government doesn't need to push them around so much, and they can push back, and they can like think of things differently. And it's not radical. It's not radical to say, hey, maybe the government should be fucking us so hard. Like, that's not radical,
Yeah. So, yeah.
Try and spread that kind of message.
And if the past 3 years don't show anybody anything, like I've noticed that there are just people it's not worth your time, right? They're such cucks for the state that there's like literally nothing you can do about it. And there's no sort of great idea, great plan, great policy that you can put into place that people actually will respond to, because they're just so indoctrinated in how the way that they should think about things. We always laugh on Twitter about, the NPC with the current thing. Like, you're going to meet a lot of people like that, and it's just not worth your effort. You know what I mean? For me, like, if Ukraine was kind of a bigger deal, like I did have instances where I just walked by houses with Ukraine flags.
Yeah, we in this house we believe Black Lives Matter.
Right. because they're not going to hear that. Like, yes, you do believe Black Lives Matter, but you don't believe that this version of this, clear and cut and nice organized way of Black Lives Matter is what you agree with, right? So there's been those houses where we believe in science, Black Lives Matter, and all this stuff, and I'm not wasting my little bit of resources. I'm not giving them this mailer or this I'm not wasting my time. I'm just moving on. So yeah, I agree with that, and that's that's a big part of it. You got to recognize you have limited time, limited energy, and you're not going to convince everybody. So, pinpointing, and that's when, like, us as libertarians, we have kind of a we're shortfalling because we don't have that data that the other parties have. And that's what I realized, is that the two major parties have this data of how people have voted in the past, and they can bring it back, 20 some years for some of these people. What we're getting is, if any data, we're getting limited data, and it's usually like an independent candidate or, a single candidate that's paying for all this data. Like, oh, this is how this person voted last year. It's, our resources are so much more limited than the two major parties that we have to work 5 times as hard, and also recognize when we need to be selective in who we're spending time with, because our time is limited. Most of us have daytime jobs. I work a regular, it's not 9 to 5, but I work a 9 to 5 job. So I had limited time, and I was, I'm raising a kid, and I have a house, and, fucking pool. If you ever had a pool, God, fucking hate pools. Never get a pool. God, I hate that thing. But yeah, it's you're fighting against, the biggest army that you've ever experienced, and you don't even realize it until you're in that fold. So, like, what do you have so far in your campaign? Do you have any words of wisdom besides the PO box and the Ukraine flags walking by those houses? Do you have any words of recommendation for people that are thinking about running for office?
I don't know. Definitely be like you do still have to be yourself to some extent. You can't, like, especially someone like me, where I was kind of so well known, and like everyone's already mad. They're like, "Oh, you're not posting pictures anymore because of politics," And I'm like, yeah, like, but I would say definitely still be yourself and not let them intimidate you. I know, like, I had a talk with Mr. Forrest, if stuff gets too weird at a certain point, then we'll decide if I need to. But I'm not like letting them intimidate me at all, and I don't care if I don't win at this point either, because I'm like, we've already been through the freaking ringer, so I might as well like move forward and do that. Maybe have things more in place. Well, this is another thing though, because we don't have Act Blue and stuff, but like, when that guy, I didn't have all my stuff ready yet, because he didn't have, just to file the paperwork, you don't have to have your like bank account and stuff set up. And I didn't have it set up yet, but that was when I should have had it set up, because when it very first hit, all the donations and stuff, but so maybe being a little more prepared with certain things before actually filing, just in case something happens where someone wants to make a big deal out of it, and you can monetize your haters. That's good advice too. Monetize your haters.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Jacob, you got any questions for Forrest Mommy?
So what do you plan on doing if you actually win? Like, they announce it, and then what then?
When I start going to the things, and I start not acting dumb. Like I said, I'll be dumb, and I want to make them explain everything slowly to me. Probably get a little more involved with like the chamber and stuff a little bit, but I'm not going to be the snob about it. And still, I would like, when I go to door knocking too, I want to ask people, how can I, if I get in, what will make you pay attention more, other than maybe just watching, because they have like the city council YouTube, it's on YouTube and stuff like that. But like, maybe what else can I do that would make you pay attention more? And then do those things for those people, if that means more, because, they send out these fluffy newsletters, which I'm sure I'll send a newsletter out too, but maybe like I'll have more like town halls, like for the constituents and stuff like that, which would be fun. It's so funny, because I literally like, I hate public speaking and everything, and then like right away I was like,
me too.
Come speak, and I'm like, well, I guess I gotta get good at it, which I'm not good at it, but it's gonna get better. I'm not scared of it anymore. At least I'm like, oh, that'll improve. But
yeah, when it's tough for us, because as third party candidates, we don't get much opportunity to practice public speaking. I had one public speaking engagement during the campaign, and it was a forum, and I did okay, right? But I had a local radio news guy. He said I did a good job, whatever. But I wasn't convincing anybody at that forum, because I was so goddamn nervous. Like, you're in a church room full is,
Your heart
250
just-
people. It's just
Yeah.
surreal, absolutely surreal. So I would advise public speaking classes if you
Yes.
can afford them.
Yes, especially if you've never done it before.
Yeah.
I was able to make a slam dunk on a Democrat. Largely, Utah is a deeply red state, except for Salt Lake City. And the the Democrat running against, or the Democrat in my race, had mentioned something about how he was a political minority, and I look over at him and I'm like, "Oh, really?" And the whole crowd just laughed about it, kind of put him to shame about that. So
I had that same thing. He was, because we're Maryland, we're obviously we're super Democrat, right? So the guy I was running against, the Republican, he was one of the few Republicans in the state Senate, and he got asked a question, talked about how he's the minority, whatever. And so I got asked the same question, and I walked up and I said, "Well, if he's the minority, then I'm the super minority," and it just made the entire room laugh because you're the people recognize that you are just the most super minority group of politicians, or people running for office in the area. And if you can make light of that and recognize that you're not top tier political person, then being normal, right, recognizing that you're not the shit, right, recognize that people eat it up and people like it. So that was, you got to have moments like that in your public speaking engagements that, make you feel like you're okay. I'm not so bad at this, right? I made a bunch of people laugh while I'm trying to talk about politics. So yeah, it's fun.
The funny thing too about being the real minority party is when they made a big deal in the local paper about us being libertarians, and something I had said is something else I'd love to do is to get DEI taxpayer dollars to stop paying for these DEI trainings for all the government employees, right? And so at the very end of this article, which they were all just trashing us libertarians, the whole article, he goes, "No, we need to keep DEI so we could be more inclusive." And then, you just spend the whole article unincluding us. They're just so they don't get it. They don't, and it's so easy to point that out. To us, we would all see that instantly, but they just
they're the biggest group of hypocrites that I think exists. So so with that, Jessica, Forrest, Mommy, really appreciate you coming on. I think you did me more favors coming on the podcast than I did you any favors. But I appreciate you coming on. Definitely excited to keep watching your campaign. It's probably one of the largest ones that we're all watching right now, at least as some Mises people. So there's no pressure at all. But you have to perform.
Glad everyone like knew me before it even. Like, so everyone's like, all right, we know what we're getting into.
Yeah. Hopefully most people know what they're getting into.
Yeah. Thank you very
much. And
you're
gonna get a lot of love on YouTube. I mean, everybody loves you. You're the one of the star children of the Liberty Circle on Twitter and the world. So I appreciate you coming on. I really do. And is there anything, any shout outs you want to give, any links, campaign website? I put it up there. I can put it up there again right now.
Yeah, just like Linktree, Forrest, Mommy. It's got all my stuff. Just Quincy's the website. But yeah, that's about it. Thanks to all, like, the FM universe has been a huge thing for me. And Paul, my producer Paul, got to shout him out because it's like, I was running this podcast. I was trying to grow this podcast. Like, I had this dream to have Forrest Mommy Network, right? And then then I got a little busy with stuff, so I have a lot of help. So shout out to the FMU. That's it. Yeah,
podcast. People don't realize how much effort it does take to even do just a podcast. Like, it's a lot, right?
Even if you want just even barely any production value, just even the bare minimum is a lot of effort.
The actual podcasting is like the last thing you do, and it's like maybe this small part of it.
Yeah. The rest of it is trying to promote it, trying to make graphics, and I am so bad with technology. I have such a hard time with like the graphics and the thumbnails and all that shit. So yeah, having a producer, I can imagine, is nice. But Jacob, anything else you want to say? Give your shout out. Go ahead.
Well, I got to say, I think it's really cool that both of you guys decided to run Forrest Mommy. That's killer that you're making waves, because honestly, it's going to come back and it's going to make people interested. of like, why are they saying these things? Because I guarantee there's a lot of people who hate that reporter, and they're going to be like, well, what does she say? And then they're going to look into it. And then there you go. You got yourself a voter. So I think it's really awesome, especially with anybody with reach. When they run, it makes it look cool, and it's not. So, good for you. So with that, I would just say check out my show, Rise to Liberty. You can find me at risetoliberty.com/links. And I've been away for a minute, just doing some things in the background, but I've got some big interviews coming up, and updating all that stuff behind the scenes, like we were just talking about, graphics, new video intro, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, thanks for having me on, Brian. And anytime you guys need me, let me know.
Hell yeah. Thanks for coming on, Jacob. Jessica, thanks for coming on, talking about your campaign. Maybe we'll hook up again further down the road, see how everything's going, give us a nice update. Because local politics is crazy and things can change in a heartbeat. They really can. I know how it goes. So thanks, guys, for coming on. Thanks for joining me. Everybody, thanks for listening and watching. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, please give us a 5-star review. Write a review if you can. Help with the algorithms. YouTube, like and subscribe. And Twitter and Facebook, give us that follow. And I would really appreciate it. So with that, everybody, thank you for coming on. Thanks for joining. Co-host, guest, thank you very much. I owe you 1,000 thank yous. And we'll see you guys next week.